America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. We got a great show for you tonight. We are going to talk about a few different topics. We're going to talk about the Epstein client list and how the Department of Justice, the FBI, is now saying there is none. So after Pam Bondi saying that we would be getting the Epstein client list and complete transparency on Epstein, after years and years of promises by Donald Trump that we would find out what happened, we're now being told that the Epstein client list does not exist, that Epstein did kill himself, that there's no chance anybody else did, and there's nobody else involved. So essentially, Jeffrey Epstein was just sex trafficking people to himself. He wasn't actually sex trafficking to other people, is what we're being told. Obviously, one of the most ridiculous things. They released like a 10-hour video today of the hole with the cell, where they show what they call unedited footage of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. I'm going to dive into why that footage was a little weird and why it's not fully unedited. And yeah, we're just not getting the transparency we were promised. We're not getting the promises that Donald Trump made in his campaign. Donald Trump in 2016, Donald Trump in 2020 seemed to have really an America First agenda. And then Donald Trump in 2024 pushed that same America First agenda. But it was clear that Donald Trump in 2024 took money from lobbyists instead of being self-funded, and his interests might have changed. And we're seeing that in real time right now. We saw it with the Iran-Israel war from the Adelson family. They gave him $100 million, and you saw how fast we got involved in that conflict after no new wars being promised around the world. And then now we're seeing this. We're seeing a complete lack of transparency when it comes to the Epstein files. We're being told one thing 2 months ago, and then we're being told something else. Again, nothing new from the Trump cabinet. We were told by Tulsi Gabbard that they were months, if not a year, away from making a nuke. And then we hear from Trump, no, Tulsi Gabbard's wrong. Mossad is correct. It's an odd thing for the president to say, to contradict his own cabinet for another country's intelligence. We've already talked about that, but again, it's happening right now. Pam Bondi said that she had the Epstein client list literally on her desk, and now it doesn't exist. Now the clients are protected forever. We'll never get any more information on it. That will be the end of it. If you continue to question it, you'll be a conspiracy theorist. And that's it. It's like 9/11. They shut the book. No one else can question it, and yeah, it's one of those sad things where we'll never really get answers. The only way I think we'd ever get answers is if someone is brave enough to spend the rest of their life in jail by hacking into a system the same way someone hacked Hillary's emails. I mean, someone's got to hack pretty much the FBI, or someone's got to hack something to release the data. And I'm not encouraging someone to do that, but that's really the only way we're going to see these files. We're not going to see them any other way. They're obviously not releasing them. And maybe they don't even exist at the FBI. Maybe Epstein was Mossad, maybe Epstein was CIA, maybe, the files exist somewhere else, or they don't exist at all, and they only exist on one person's hard drive, and that person is a complete unknown. We don't know. I mean, there are a bunch of unanswered questions. We're going to talk a lot about that today, a lot about Epstein, a lot about Ghislaine, a lot about Trump, their relationship together, their fallout, the new information we're getting. We're going to dive into all aspects of the Epstein thing today. There will be no shortage of that. I also do want to talk about some other topics, though. I want to talk about the Iranian president doing an interview with Tucker Carlson. I watched the interview today. It's a little hard to watch because, the president of Iran does not speak English. So there's a translator. Tucker talks, then the president talks, and then there's a little translation from a robotic voice, makes it slightly annoying to listen to, but it's like 25 minutes. Very manageable. You should be able to listen to it, no problem. I listen to it on 1.5 speed. Makes it a little faster, a little easier, I think. But yeah, it was a pretty good interview. It gives a decent perspective. I don't think people should take what the Iranian president says as gold and just run with it. But it does give a pretty decent perspective, especially after the information we heard from Donald Trump, especially after the information we've heard from all the different media outlets and everything, or all the confusion going on since the Iran-Israel conflict. Where does the United States stand in it? Are we going to continue to see involvement because we didn't see a regime change? Was it about regime change? Was it about nuclear bombs? What was it about? And why are they building bombs in the first place? We highlighted a lot of that information in previous episodes. We'll brush up on some of that today, but we'll talk about the interview a lot. And then our last topic we'll talk about today is the America Party. Elon Musk has announced over the last few weeks, he ran a poll about it a few weeks ago when him and Donald Trump first started having a fallout, that he wants to create a new party, the America Party, a party that has the interest of the 80% of Americans and not the 20% who, really align with Republican and Democratic values. As someone who sees themselves as an American nationalist, I love this because it seems like an American nationalist party in a lot of ways. I don't know exactly where they'll land on immigration, but I can imagine they'll limit it due to financial constraints. They'll stop illegal immigration as well. I think they'll limit social services where they need to be limited. They'll focus on restoring value back to the American dollar, bringing manufacturing, bringing jobs back to the United States, making more fair trade agreements, limiting our foreign affairs with our allies. I think we overspend with our allies way too much. We send $3 billion to Israel, we send billions to Africa, we send millions to Canada and Mexico. These are problems. These are all devaluing our dollar for every dollar we print. We need to bring value back to this. We need to bring value back to the country. The Federalist Papers talk about this a lot. Our founders talk about it. They were geniuses. They talk about if we continue to have lifelong foreign relations, if we have too many foreign relations, if we allow too many immigrants into the country when they're not needed, especially in times when they're not needed, then we will continue to see we'll start to see America be devalued in real time. We'll start to see the dollar be devalued in real time. We'll start to see all these problems. We'll start to see a huge decline in American society and the empire. America is just another empire. We've also talked about that. Just like the Roman Empire, it will eventually fall. And with weak leadership and with, no dollar to back it, yes, we will definitely fall. At a point, we were on the gold standard, and our dollar actually had some backing to it. It had some value to it. But now it's just paper. Paper money is pretty worthless. And our founders talked about that if your currency is just paper and it's not backed by anything else, then you don't really have a currency. You just have a notebook. You could make as much of it as you want, and it just keeps getting less and less valuable over time until you screw the last generation to have to deal with it, and then they revolt, or then they collapse, or whatever the situation is. But that's what we're doing right now. We're in this downward death spiral where we're really making it impossible for the next generation to live. We're not going to make it it's not going to be a happy life for them. They're not going to be able to afford things. They're not going to have houses. The food is going to be a lot more scarce because of economics. I mean, our dollar is not worth anything, and it is continuously getting worth less year in, year out. Every time our politicians raise the debt ceiling, every time they print more dollars, our dollar gets more and more worthless. And it's one of the scariest things as an American. So, yes, I do love the America Party. I love the idea of it. I want to see all their I want to see all their policies laid out. I want to see the platforms they're going to use. I bet, Bitcoin's going to be a heavy part of this because they don't make more Bitcoin, and Elon is very into crypto. I bet that the American Party will also have some tech provisions in it. I bet it will be more of like a tech nationalist, American nationalist party. So, I don't know. There will be some positives, maybe some negatives. We'll go over that today, too. Like I said, we do have a great show for you tonight, guys. We're going to talk about those 3 topics. We're going to really dive into all 3 of them. I want everybody as well, remember, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about in future episodes. If you want to debate me as well, I love to debate people. Leave a comment about it, send me an email. I don't care. I'll debate you on anything almost. I love debating conservatives, and I love debating liberals. I disagree with conservatives on a lot. I disagree with liberals on a lot, so it's pretty easy. I think conservatives give you a better conversation, but I'm open to debating anybody. But everyone remember, like, follow, subscribe, comment, whatever it is. Please, it's all appreciated. Helps boost the account, boost the content. But let's dive right into everything. We're going to start with the Epstein stuff. So I talked about how they released this 12-hour, 10-hour video of the hallway, and they show it's so hard to explain. I'll pop a quick image of it here so you guys know what I'm talking about. But they show the hallway kind of with a blurry, it's like blurry. You could see the common room, and then it leads downstairs, and you can kind of see what they say is Jeffrey Epstein's cell on the way other side of the jail. I know I'm not explaining it perfectly, but it's not a clear image. It's nowhere close. It's nothing where you could see Jeffrey Epstein's face. You really can't even tell he's in the video at all, if you can even see him. I've watched the video. It was one of the biggest wastes of 10 hours of my life because I thought I was actually going to get something out of it. And no, like I said, you really can't even see him. When they say he went in his cell, it was 10:40 at night. You watch the video, and like I said, it is extremely blurry. He is on the other side of the jail completely in the video. You can vaguely make out an orange jumpsuit going in the cell. Can you tell it's Jeffrey Epstein? No. Can you tell who's putting him in the cell? No. Can you tell if the person is coherent in the video? No. You can't tell anything from the video. They claim that the cameras on the other side of the jail where Jeffrey Epstein, where his cell was located, were not working or were not filming or whatever it was. That aligns with the original story we heard, which doesn't make sense because, again, my tax dollars fund these things. Why aren't the cameras working, especially when it's someone as high profile as Jeffrey Epstein? These are things where it's like, my tax dollars, illegals can eat on food stamps, but we can't have a working camera in this high security prison while Jeffrey Epstein, a high profile inmate, is on suicide watch. A little odd to me. But nonetheless, like I said, it's on the complete other side of the jail. They say he got tucked into a cell at 10:40 at night. They found him at about like 6:30 a.m. hanged in a cell by himself, they claim. And if you do watch the video, it does kind of look like there's not a lot of people in the area. No one's really going over by his cell. But then you do see some movement. You do see like a shadowy figure. Like I said, it's on the very other side of the jail, so it's hard to make out. But you do see the shadowy figure moving around over by Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Can't really tell what's going on. And at this point, it turns to 11:58. And the minute goes by, you still see the shadowy figure moving around. And at 11:58 and 59 seconds, it goes right to midnight. It skips the 11:59 minutes. So the last minute entirely, 60 full seconds, were erased from this. This is not unedited. And I'm not claiming that in these 60 seconds, SEAL Team 6 came in and pulled off the greatest operation and hanged Jeffrey Epstein in his cell. I'm not claiming that they had some high-profile hitman who, in 60 seconds or less, came in and hanged this guy, beat him up 1v1 and killed him. That's not what I'm claiming. But I am claiming that it is very odd to, after all this time of saying we will be releasing a full, transparent, there'll be complete transparency to the American people. We're going to tell everyone everything about Epstein. We're going to, there's going to be arrests. There's going to be a client list. There is going to be people held accountable. After all that, all the excitement they're trying to give us about, we're finally going to get some justice done. Why is it that the one video they release that they claim is unedited is edited? Why is it that they can't get one thing right? Why is it that they claim to be so transparent, they claim they're doing this for us, and then, they edit it. they lie. They're not telling us the truth. I'm sitting here dumbfounded at it that I believed it, that I actually thought we were going to get the Epstein list. I feel like a moron, edit a clown nose and hair and makeup on me. I feel like a clown right now. I actually thought we were going to see some arrests. I thought we were going to see Bill Clinton, see Prince Harry, or Prince Andrew, not Prince Harry, but it's to see all these people held accountable. I thought we were going to actually get some arrests, get some accountability for once in this country, that pedophiles, just because they're billionaires, they're not going to be able to get away with it. But no, that doesn't seem like that's going to happen at all. It just, right after Diddy walks, Diddy pretty much just gets charged with prostitution, which is just like a normal Tuesday in New York for a lot of people. He walks from sex trafficking and rape. He's a billionaire, and now we see the same thing. You essentially, from beyond the grave, someone is pulling the strings for Epstein. Someone is deleting camera footage. Whether in that minute or not someone hanged Jeffrey Epstein, you have to question it. Why didn't they release that minute if nothing happened? Why was there a shadowy figure near his cell when it happened? Why don't they have a video of his cell clearly? They have a video of the entrance where the guards go in and out. There's also another strange thing at like 5 in the morning. There's one guy who leaves and then another guy who comes in, or he comes in and leaves, and it kind of looks like a different guy. He's in a hood and one looks taller than the other, but could just be, how I'm seeing it on the camera. It could be the same person, but a lot of things do look fishy. It does seem like they had one really big shot to regain the trust of millions of Americans, especially independents, people like me who aren't just complete shills for the Republican Party, who want to see the truth. I care about the truth more than anything. I care about the truth of what happened more than protecting Donald Trump or protecting the Republicans or Democrats. I don't care about protecting any of them. They don't protect me. I want to know the truth. I want to know who is a pedophile in this country. What people in our government protected this pedophile? What agency did this person work for around the world? Was it one of ours? Was it Mossad? Who was it? And how is it that he's still dead and they're pulling strings from beyond the grave? I want to get into Donald Trump and Epstein's relationship a little bit because this topic comes up a lot. A lot of speculation right now is that Donald Trump was one of Epstein's clients, and that's why we're not seeing the list. I've talked about many times that I think Donald Trump is in the Epstein files because I know he's in the Epstein files. We saw this. He was on the flight logs the same way RFK was on the flight logs, and a lot of billionaires were on the flight logs. It's kind of how private planes work. They use each other's private planes. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing new. It doesn't mean that they were on the client list or that they were having sex with minors, but it does mean that they had a relationship with Epstein in some way. And it is documented that Trump and Epstein did have a relationship. Trump and Epstein were friends up until about 1999 when Donald Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for inappropriate conduct with a minor who was a waitress there. So Donald Trump knew that he had these problems. He was arrested also, not Donald Trump, Epstein was arrested also in Palm Beach County, Florida, I think in like 2017 or 2018 on pedophilia charges. So there were known problems with Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump had already publicly denounced him at this point. He had said that they're not friends anymore after he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for the inappropriate conduct with the waitress. I don't speculate that Donald Trump is a client. Do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it's more possible than I thought a couple weeks ago? A lot more. I think that the fact that Elon Musk tweeted it out, like I've talked about before, I really do trust Elon Musk. I don't think he lies a lot. I think he's a crazy, high-functioning autist who really just has the best interest for the people in mind. I think he is extremely smart and talented, and he has restored free speech in this country. He has given me little reason not to trust him. There are a few people who aren't allowed to be on his X platform, and while I don't agree with that, I don't think it's him. I don't think it's him, doing the same thing as not letting the client list out or going back on No New Wars. I think Elon Musk has been pretty trustworthy. I wouldn't want him in a political position in this country because he's not an American-born citizen, and one of my beliefs is I think you should have a direct tie to the country that you're the president of or a politician for. I think you should have been born in that country and should have no foreign allegiance to any other countries. But I would like to see him as the backer of this America Party, as the funder of this America Party. We'll talk about that a little more later. I still want to brush up on some Epstein stuff, but I do think that would be a really positive thing. I do think Elon Musk has a great vision for this country, great vision for the people and America. To get back into the Epstein thing, it's pretty scary that, like I've talked about and kept saying, there's someone protecting him from beyond the grave. My estimation is it's Mossad. My estimation is Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad intelligence because Ghislaine's dad was Mossad intelligence. They had a obviously great relationship, Jeffrey and Ghislaine. They were sex trafficking people together, but to who? There's no client list. So obviously they were sex trafficking to no one, according to our government. One of the most ridiculous things. But beyond the video they released, beyond just that being weird, there was a lot of weird things in the video, like I talked about the shadowy figure, the minute missing, the guy going in and out who looks like different people. And the fact that after all this time, the video they released is not even of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. It's showing a completely different door with Epstein's cell supposedly on the complete other side of the jail, where you can vaguely see it in a very blurry way. You can see a orange jumpsuit walking into the cell at around 10:40 p.m. That's all you can really see when it comes to seeing Jeffrey Epstein in this video. You don't see anything else. You don't actually see, that it's Epstein. You don't know for a fact. This could be any person in a jumpsuit. They could be releasing this video. It also comes at a time where, AI videos are getting to be pretty realistic. You can hardly differentiate some AI videos from non-AI videos, and the AI editing features are getting great as well. So if someone did walk in and out of these frames, if there was something that was in that minute, AI could have easily edited those things out. AI could have easily changed these things so the American people wouldn't see them. I'm not saying this is what happened. This is, again, me just speculating on possibilities. What can happen will happen. Murphy's Law. I really think that the Epstein client list did exist at a point and doesn't anymore. I think that there was a black book, there was a videotape file, there was some record to show the people who were committing pedophilic acts on this island. Or else what would the point of the island be? The whole point of the island was blackmail. And if there were no records of the blackmail, then that's not, he's not really good at blackmailing people. And I don't think he was just getting people over to this island to have sex with kids. I think he was getting people over to the island to have sex with what he called pretty girls. And then after they had sex with them and videoed them secretly, he would say, okay, well, I now have a video of you sleeping with a 16-year-old. Send me this amount of money, give me this political thing, absolve me of this crime, give me this tax break, do this for me, help me invade this country. Whatever he wanted. I mean, if you're a high-ranking politician, if you're Bill Gates, if you're Bill Clinton, if you're a high-ranking, Hollywood elite, you're not going to want these videos being released, and you'll do anything to prevent that. So these are the people who are most likely on these lists. These are the criminals that we have to watch out for, the Hollywood elites, the politicians. I want everyone right now to be very cautious of a few things. Everyone should be watching their Twitter feed, their Instagram feed, mainly X though, True Social, Facebook, whatever you use to track your news and track your politicians. I don't say, go to the media, don't watch Fox or CNN on these things. Maybe a little bit, but I want everybody to pay attention to where everyone's standing on this issue. I want you to pay attention to where Charlie Kirk stands, where Matt Walsh stands, where Ben Shapiro stands, Candace Owens stands, Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, Don Lemon, Rachel Maddow. I could go down the list. But I want people to really take account of where everyone is going to stand on this issue. Because I think it's going to show you who has the best interest in, who has the American people in mind, who is thinking about the American people the most, and who is thinking about corruption, who is thinking about their own self-interest. I think we'll see a lot of people looking out for their own self-interest. Charlie Kirk right now has almost said nothing about this. He briefly talked about it on his show, and he tweeted out last night that same thing I posted a while ago, that if the Democrats had enough information to show that Donald Trump was on the Epstein list, that they would have gave it up by now. And I kind of believe that, but at the same time, Bill Clinton owns the Democrats. Bill Clinton in the Democrats' mind is almost more powerful than Donald Trump. What Bill and Hillary do for the Democrats and the money they give, you can't replace that currently. So I think it might be hard for them to give up Bill Clinton. And I really hope that in the future we'll get these answers, but I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna get any answers. It's really sad. We don't know Bill Clinton's guilty. We know, beyond just the Epstein stuff, he's probably guilty of so much more, but we know he's guilty, and it's so sad we'll never see him in jail. And yeah, I want to see where Matt Walsh is going to align on this. I could tell you where Rachel Maddow and Don Lemon are going to, they're going to say, oh, we knew it all along. Trump was a pedophile. He's not releasing it. They're just going to go right to that angle. Nick Fuentes, not sure what angle he's going to take. I'm not sure what angle Alex Jones is going to take. And these are all things I'm going to be looking out for. I'll report on them in the future. But I think they're important. I think it's important to look at where big names in the media where they stand on these things, because it shows you who is being corrupted, who is not, who is thinking about the American people, who is thinking about transparency, and who is thinking about protecting people. The people who are saying nothing are either thinking about protecting their political party or protecting Epstein, and both are scary. If both people are putting a pedophile over the interests of the American people, that's not people we should be aligning with in America. So we need to be on the watch for these people in the media, people in mainstream conservatism and mainstream liberalism, and we need to really follow how this situation progresses over the next few days. Like, they just released this information yesterday. I'm sure over the next few days there's going to be more and more speculation, more conspiracy theories. People are going to see more things in the video that maybe I missed or other people missed. There might be, I don't know, I'm hoping someone tries to hack the FBI or hack something, and I'm not going to do that, and I'm not encouraging anyone to do that. FBI, please do not lock me up. But I'm just saying, I really hope that we are able to find this information, and it seems that the only way we'll ever get that information is if someone does do that. So please, no one do that, but if someone does and they spend the rest of their life in jail for it, the rest of us will thank you. But don't do it, please. Please don't. Please don't put your life at risk for that. Although I do want to see it. But don't do it. Don't do it. For legal reasons, please, please do not do it. I am not encouraging it. And if there's an FBI guy listening, please. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. I love you guys. But, okay, let's go on to our next topic. Let's talk about the Iran interview. The president of Iran interviewed with Tucker Carlson on YouTube. Like I said, it was kind of annoying to listen to because of the translator. Maybe some of you guys don't mind that as much as me. I cannot stand it. I can't even watch movies where they have like a British accent. It is miserable to me. I don't want to hear it. I just, if I'm watching a movie, I don't want to be listening to an accent the whole time. The same way if I'm watching a YouTube interview, I don't want to be, listening to a translator the entire time in a robotic voice. But it's an interview that we all should listen to. I listened to the Vladimir Putin one when Tucker did that as well. That was even worse because that was like a 2.5 hour long one. This one's at least like 25 minutes. It's very manageable to get through. I did it on 1.5 speed or 2x speed, whatever it was. Zips right through it, makes it a little less annoying. But to dive right into the interview, it was a little odd. So we have heard from the Iranian leaders that there was no destruction from the United States, that, very little was destroyed, that Iran won the conflict. That was the things we were seeing on Twitter. Iranian media was reporting this. You even saw Donald Trump come in the media and say, yeah, that's kind of what they have to say. And that makes sense. That is what they have to say. It's what any country almost has to say. Any country who loses a war still almost reports they won the war. When you sign an agreement, you're saying you won the war to your people, but in reality, they didn't really win the war. But let's go into what they're saying specifically, or what he was saying specifically happened. He was saying that they had almost nothing damaged, and then in the interview, he's now saying that they haven't even been able to fully assess it because they can't even get down into Fordo to assess it. That the United States damaged the entryways to Fordo so badly that they're not even able to go assess that damage, which kind of does align with what Donald Trump said. It could be them trying to set a ploy for the American people and lie to the American people as well publicly. It would be a smart plan. But I do think it's truthful. I do think after watching the videos of the bunker buster bombs that we did get some of their material. I don't think we got it all. I don't think we destroyed it all. I don't think we stopped them or deterred them from building a nuclear weapon. But I do think that we were able to destroy some of their weaponry, some of their high-ranking leaders, as well as Israel. I don't agree with the conflict. I thought we should have stayed very far away from it. I thought Israel preemptively did it, and it was very dumb, and it undermined the United States entirely when they did that. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't effective what the United States did. It possibly was very effective. We'll know the full effects of that in the next few months to come. We got the initial reports, but the initial reports are always hard to trust. Same thing as weapons of mass destruction. The initial report said we should go invade Iraq. Then we all saw what happened. I mean, it was one of the biggest disasters. We had our president then get up and say, no, there was no weapons of mass destruction when we got to Saddam. I just really hate the corruption in our government. It's lobbying that leads to these things. Donald Trump, like I've talked about, campaigned on no new wars, no new conflicts around the country. He took $100 million from Miriam Adelson, and he got right into that conflict, almost no questions asked. And it has to make you think, did Donald Trump owe the Israel lobby something? Most likely. Did they cash that favor in pretty early? Most likely. Does he still owe them other favors is the other question. Does Donald Trump still owe the Adelson family any massive favors? I really hope not. I don't want to see a regime change there led by the United States. But it seems like that is the likely possibility down the line. It seems like they want a regime change, that the neocons in our government and Israel wants a regime change. And if they can get Donald Trump involved, they're going to try to at all costs. And we'll see if that happens over the next few months, like I've said. But as of now, it'd just be me speculating. But I do think it will. I do think that the ultimate goal for Israel bombing Iran was the regime change, not the destabilization of the nuclear program, because Israel had no ability to do that on their own. So that's why they had the United States involvement. I really do think we will see that. But to get back into what they were saying in the interview, Iran has pretty much been saying they want to negotiate diplomacy with the United States, that they don't want to see continued sanctions from the United States, that they don't want to see continued an escalated conflict with the United States. He blamed the Zionists. He blamed Israel. He kept calling them the Israel regime. Talked pretty poorly about Netanyahu and about Trump's relationship to Netanyahu, which is all very expected as well. I don't love Trump's relationship with Netanyahu either. I don't think Trump should have the relationship he has with a lot of our foreign leaders. I actually think Trump weirdly has more diplomacy with Putin than he has with most leaders. And, it's not even that bad of a thing to have diplomacy with Putin, but it's just bad that we don't have them with the leaders that we need to have them with. And it's bad that our allies publicly undermine us. I expect Russia to undermine us. I don't expect Israel to undermine us. I don't expect Mexico and Canada to undermine us, but they have been constantly over Donald Trump's term. And that's a huge problem. Why can't we stop our allies from undermining us when we're funding them, when we're giving them subsidies, when we are literally taking some of their worst citizens and criminals into our country as citizens, giving them visas, giving them citizenship? It's awful. I don't want my tax dollars funding it. I've talked about my net zero, illegal and legal immigration policies before. I want to bring value back to the American dollar. I want to restore American principles. I want to make America great again. Not in the Donald Trump way, but actually make America great again. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get into the America Party and Elon Musk. To get back into this Iran stuff, it was a pretty interesting interview. I urge everyone to watch it. I think, like I said, it gives an interesting take where it's like you're kind of hearing from the bad guy. You're hearing from the guy on the other side who we bombed. You're hearing his perspective of how he views the United States, how he views Israel, how he views the United States' involvement with Israel, why he didn't think the United States should have been involved, and how Israel kind of did start it in the first place. I think the only reason Iran is building a nuke is for Israel. It's not for us, and I don't think they should be able to nuke Israel. I don't think they should be able to nuke anybody. But to say that Iran is our biggest threat in the United States is a complete lie by our government. North Korea is a bigger threat. China is a bigger threat. A lot of other countries are bigger threats than, I just don't see Iran as like the biggest threat to the United States, especially not. It's not a good reason to, waste our tax dollars. It's not a good reason to be funding all these things overseas because, you go door to door to 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and don't go door to door to teenagers unless you want to end up on a list. But you get my point. Go door to door to the younger generations and ask them, what's the biggest problem in your life right now? And none of them are going to say Iran. People are going to say depression, anxiety. I can't afford a home. I can't get a job, even though I was told if I went to college, I would have the American dream, and now I'm just in debt. These are the problems that you're going to hear from the American people. You're not going to hear, oh, we need to bomb Iran. You're not going to hear Iran's nuclear program is almost built and they have it in Fordo under a mountain. Nobody in America gives a shit about this. Nobody in America actually cares. Nobody in America most people in America did not know the word Fordo until 2.5 weeks ago. They didn't know it existed. They didn't know what Iran even was. They knew it was a country, but they knew nothing about it. Most people in America are fairly uneducated about these things. They hear one or two lines on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, and they run with it. This is the country we're living in. This is terrible. These are the things we need to get rid of. These are the things we need to move away from. We need to move towards a society where people are actually talking about these things and informed about these things. People need to be reading. People need to be actually educating themselves from independent journalists and going directly to the source of people who are involved in these scenarios, not just listening to the media and taking everything they say as if it's gold, because it's not. It's a very boomer thing to do that. And yes, boomers aren't the worst people, but boomers are a generation that are hurting this country a lot. You know, you guys are taking up the Social Security and you get mad if anyone wants to touch it, yet I'm paying for it and I'll never see it. My generation is paying your Social Security and we will never see Social Security because guess what? It's about to run out because we are printing too many dollars and our dollar is worth shit and our government is corrupt, and whether they're Republicans or Democrats in office, they both raised the debt ceiling, they both spend too much money, they both have alliances to foreign countries over America, and none of them actually give a shit about you, me, or the American taxpayer in any way outside of just getting you to vote for them. That's one thing I've realized over the last few months of doing this. I've realized that most people in our government do not actually give a shit about you. They could give a fuck about you in any way. If you died, if you have a kid, if you get married, if you lose a house, lose your job, if you get a promotion, if something good or bad happens to you, your politicians really do not give a shit about you except for very few of them. And the very few of them who do get rooted out fast by the ones who are funded by lobbyists, the ones who are not in politics for the right reasons, the ones who are in politics because people are paying them to be in those positions, because they didn't align with the APEC solutions, or they didn't align with the pro-war agenda, or they didn't align with whatever they wanted to push at the time in this country. They got rooted out. These are problems. These are the reasons we need the America Party. It brings us to our last topic today, the America Party. Elon Musk talked about this. Elon Musk is finally bringing it into action. I wanted to call it the America First Party, not America Party. Obviously, I like the name America Party and I'll accept it. I'm not going to argue with it, but I think the America First Party and the American First Movement already has a huge name to it. And the America First Movement it's beautiful. It puts America over everything else. It takes all the ways that we put anyone over American citizens and it gets rid of that. We need to, like I said, stop legal and illegal immigration. For your average American citizen, it does not benefit you in any way to have legal or illegal immigrants in this country. I think everything our government does should be a benefit to the American people. It benefits big corporations who abuse their labor, and even if they're not abusing their labor, they get cheaper labor. It helps the government because they use them as political pawns, legal and illegal immigration. But for your average citizen in America, all it does is devalue your dollar and spread more dollars around. All it does is take jobs away from people who are born in America and give them to people who are imported from other countries to take these jobs. There were times in these countries where we needed a mass influx of immigrants. In the early 1900s, we needed people to come in and build their cities, build their subways. They built New York, they built LA, they built Chicago, they built the subway and transportation system through New Jersey. They built all these great things. And then now we're at a point where we're allowing way too many immigrants. We're not importing people who are building America up to be a great thing. We're actually watching our greatest cities decline in real time. And it's not all due to immigration, but a lot of it is due to too much immigration and too many dollars being printed. These are huge problems. And like I've talked about, it doesn't matter whether it's Republicans or Democrats, they all print too many dollars. We saw Clinton raise the debt ceiling. We saw Bush raise the debt ceiling. We saw Obama raise the debt ceiling, and Trump raise the debt ceiling, and Biden raised the debt ceiling, and now Trump again. And if a Democrat wins in 2028 or a Republican wins in 2028, we'll see the same thing. They're going to always continue spending more dollars. They're going to continue making your dollar more worthless until we stand up against it. I don't know the full policies of the America Party. I wish that they would lay them out pretty soon so that we can know if it's something we should throw money towards, know if it's something that we should align with, because from my perspective, the America Party, the way Elon has described it so far, will be an American nationalist society. It will be something that limits legal immigration while stopping illegal immigration. It will be allowing Americans to take the jobs that they should have in America, not importing people to take American jobs. I don't think we should be handing a visa out to anyone who's willing to work in America when Americans can have those jobs. We need to do what we can to support the American taxpayer. It is our government's role to support Americans and not to bring in immigrants to take Americans' jobs. These are huge problems. These seem like basic things that should be understandable, but it seems like a lot of people don't. But why are we importing the new working class? We have it right here in America. We need to basically, like, nobody wants to work because the dollar is not worth shit, because they know that they won't be able to have a house and a family the way their grandparents and their families have. And if we can empower these people, and if we can bring value back to the American dollar, we can actually see a revival in American culture. We can see a revival in what our founders wanted for us. They wanted no political parties and no political affairs and no foreign affairs. And, we violated all those things. And if we get back to those policies, if we get back to what our founders wanted for us, I think we'll see a lot better America. We'll see the America that our grandfathers had. We'll see the America that was promised to us. I want America to be the greatest country forever. I don't want the empire to fall. I want ultimate freedom. I want people to be able to have their dollar go far in life. I want people to be able to afford homes. I want people to be able to live the American dream that was promised to them. I don't want socialism. I don't want communism. I don't want liberalism. I want the American dream. I love this America Party. I really hope they're able to give the tax plan out soon, the spending plan, the plan to reduce the deficit, so that we know if it's a legitimate party or if it's just an Elon thing. Elon talks about, Elon's right 50% of the time. He's wrong 50% of the time, 50-50. But, at least he's honest about it. A lot of people say they're right way more than that. Elon's at least honest about the fact that he over-exaggerates a lie. He doesn't always know what he's talking about, and sometimes he'll just say things. But I do think this is a pretty well-researched thing. I think this is something where he has a lot of political backing and a lot of social backing. Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, people in politics who will specifically support him. And then there are people outside of politics who will support him as well. You'll see people like me. Like, I will support Elon Musk through this as long as I align with the values of the party. I want to see a net zero illegal immigration and near net zero legal immigration outside of gold cards. $5 million investments in creating jobs in this country. I don't even think the million's enough. $1 million doesn't get you as far in America as it used to, and that's the problem. We need to get to a place where this dollar actually means something, where the power is in the people's hands. That's another big part of the America Party. The power is not in the people's hands anymore, and it's not even fully in the government's hands. While it is in the government's hands, it's in the hands of the people who fund the government. And the people who fund the government, like we've talked about, are AIPAC and BlackRock. AIPAC funds 67% of our politicians. So 2/3 of all the politicians in our government, on Republican side and Democratic side, are all taking money from the American Israeli Political Affairs Committee. They are all taking money from this group. They are all aligned on those values. They are all trying to protect Israel over America in a lot of ways. You heard Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about how they have passed 22 pro-Israel things but 0 pro-America things since she's been in Congress. It's a huge problem. I don't want my tax dollars funding these people's salaries for them to shill to Israel all day. How about shill to Americans? How about make Americans some money? How about bring some value back to our dollar? How about stop cutting the taxes for corporations from 35 to 21% and actually cut the taxes for lower class Americans? Actually take the lobbying out of government. Make it so people in Congress can't trade and there's no corruption. Make it so the people in Congress aren't there because they're getting millions and millions of dollars to insider trade and millions of dollars from lobbyists. That they're there because they actually want to better the life of their constituents and better the life of their country. We are seeing a huge uptick in people who are just getting into politics because they want to be corrupt. They want to take money from lobbyists. They want to do what they can to not promote American values, but promote the values that help another nation. We're seeing this in New York. We're seeing someone literally promote socialist values in one of the most capitalist cities in the world. They're promoting Muslim values in a city that was attacked by Muslims. I think Zamdani is one of the worst people to ever enter politics into this nation, and that's saying a lot because he stands next to Ilhan Omar, who hates this country, AOC, who's a complete moron, Jasmine Crockett, who's literally illiterate. We've had people have seizures on the Senate floor. We have had some of the most disgraceful things happen in politics. Bill Clinton got head in the Oval Office, and I still think Zamdani is worse. I still think that Zamdani and what he brings to America and the vision that he's trying to bring to New York City, one of the greatest cities in this world, is so detrimental to it. I think the fact that he wants to basically shut down the 2 bodegas on every street corner by opening a city-run grocery store is disgusting. You're going to kill small businesses in the state. You're going to have an influx of people moving to my state in Florida because they don't want to deal with your woke policies. They don't want to deal with your corruption, and they don't want all their money stolen just because they succeeded in life. The American dream is to create a business that creates enough money that you can hire more people to create more money, to then grow the business, to then, again, repeat, hire more people, grow, hire more people, grow, and eventually you become a billionaire because of that. And guess what? That is the American dream. That is what this country was founded on, that you can succeed to almost no limit. And that's not a bad thing. People need to be able to succeed. We need the working class and we need an upper class. It's how society has always worked and how it will continue to work. And you can't have everyone thinking, oh yeah, we just need all this money. Again, if you redistributed all the wealth in the United States, it would still end up back in the same hands. If people started from square one, Elon Musk didn't have his 10 companies, Jeff Bezos didn't have Amazon, every podcaster and Hollywood celebrity didn't have their platforms, and everyone was starting from the same square. I guarantee you the same slave mines are still going to operate like slave mines, and the people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, the people who are able to become billionaires in this country are going to do it again. They're smart enough to do it again. They understand the masses like you don't, and they understand finances and how a business works and how to actually run a company that goes through the entire world. Not nobody, but very few people know how to run a global enterprise, a global company, or even a national company. And people think that, what Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk do are just easy jobs, and just because they get billions of dollars a year and they're the CEO, they don't actually do a lot. Elon was sleeping on the floor at Tesla and SpaceX factories and still does that from time to time. He lives in a tiny home, sold most of his possessions. I can't say the same about Bezos and Zuckerberg, but they're just geniuses. They're innovators. They want to push humanity forward. Zuckerberg doesn't even really care about money that much. Yes, he lives a very fun, interesting life, but money was never his pursuit behind this. Zuckerberg likes to build cool shit. He's just a high-functioning autist, just like Elon Musk. I think high-functioning autists actually run a lot of society, and we don't realize it, but they're some of the smartest people who exist. You see Zuckerberg, you see Musk, I'm sure Albert Einstein, I'm sure Oppenheimer, I'm sure all these people had some form of autism. It's what pushes them to be better than us in a lot of ways. So it pushes them to be smarter and understand the things that the regular human mind does not understand. And yes, it's a spectrum, autism. It can go one way or it can go the other. But it's one of those things where you could see these highly advanced, almost alien-like people like Elon Musk, where they are, digging tunnels in Vegas. They're trying to get us to other planets. They are, influencing politics. They're building cars that go 0 to 60 in a second. It's pretty crazy shit, and it's not something a normal person would do. It's something that, again, someone with high-functioning autism would do. Like I've said before, I don't want Elon Musk to be the president. I don't want him to even be elected in public office. I'm against people who weren't born in America being in politics. It's one of the biggest reasons I don't like Ted Cruz, among other reasons, him being a neocon. But yeah, I don't think people who weren't born in America have a place in American politics because you don't have an actual... You have very little tie to the country that you're politically involved in compared to the country you're born in. And, that could be less or more true in different instances. But, yeah, generally, I don't think you should have allegiance to multiple countries if you're involved in American politics. So I wouldn't want Elon Musk, as someone who wasn't born in America, being elected, but I would like him to be a donor for this party. I would like him to be the founder of the party. I would like him to help try and push the party forward. I think Elon Musk, like I said, is a visionary. He understands what the American people want in a lot of ways. He understands finances, obviously. He understands how American business works, how trade works. He understands that most of Americans are being screwed, that they print way too many dollars, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. And if we want to actually get to a place where this country is going to succeed, we need to stop printing dollars. We need to get our deficit down, get our debt down, and not be debt slaves for the rest of our lives. Because right now we're setting our future generations up to just be debt slaves. I've talked about before how 39 cents out of every dollar goes to interest on our debt when you pay your income tax. They estimate that in 25 years it will be over 50%. These are, that's 20 some years it's a generation. That's not a lot, It's like my kids. Or I don't have kids yet, but hopefully you get my point. It's like I don't want these people, I don't want our future generations, my potential children, my potential grandchildren to be dealing with this. I want them to live in a better world than I lived in. And I know I'm not going to live in a better world than my parents did, but I at least can hope to create a better world than I lived in and that my parents did for future generations. We can at least hope to create a world where the government has the people's interests in mind. This country was founded on the power being in the people's hands, not the power being in the government's hands. It's the reason we have a representative government. But what's the point of having a representative government when the government doesn't represent the people? It represents the lobbyists. It represents the PACs and the NGOs and the bureaucrats. It represents all the people who want to cut them $1,000 check here or $1,000,000 check behind closed doors to get their agenda pushed through. Ted Cruz doesn't have this undying love for Israel because of the Bible like he claims. It's because he takes money from AIPAC, among, other politicians who take money from AIPAC who also have this love for them. Charlie Kirk, same thing. Charlie Kirk takes a ton of money from Israeli lobbyists. Another huge reason he, backs them in every way. And he says, he is an evangelical Christian, so he does believe that in ways he does have it's his right to defend Israel or whatever, however they phrase it. But, go to any Catholic church, go to the Pope. None of them are going to tell you owe anything to Netanyahu. None of them are going to tell you owe anything to the current state or government of Israel. Israel was the Holy Land. Yes, it's where Jesus was born and things like that. But it's not like this current state where we have to protect it at all costs, and we have to support all the corrupt things that may be happening in the country, and we have to send them $3 billion a year, and we have to get involved in every one of their wars, and we have to fund proxies in their area, and we have to create this golden dome for them. And I mean, you could go down the list for 2 hours about all the things we do for Israel and the lack of things they do for us and the way they undermine us. But it's not just Israel. There's a lot of countries who do that and a lot of corrupt politicians, but AIPAC is just the one who's the most prevalent in our government. AIPAC funds, like I said, 67% of the politicians in the American government, including presidential candidates. And that doesn't even count the House and Senate candidates and things like that. I'm sure it's way higher. They fund a lot of people. When you put your name on the ballot, the first thing that happens on any level of government is you're going to get calls from lobbyists, Christian lobbyists, gun lobbyists, Jewish lobbyists, Muslim lobbyists, lobbyists from every direction and every side of the aisle, every party. They're all going to want to give you money to say, hey, you don't have to say this, you don't have to do this, but this is what we'd appreciate. This is what we think. This is, if you said this, it would go a long way for these people or this thing or this cause, whatever it is. It's all corruption. It's all bullshit. If we could eliminate lobbying, it would actually restore what a representative government is, because like I've talked about, the representative government means nothing when they represent the interests of lobbyists and not the interests of the American people. Why do we have lobbyists controlling this nation? Why do we have other nations influencing our lobbyists, and that's allowed? Why do we have essentially people who aren't elected at all devaluing our dollar by pushing things that the American people aren't voting for? We are voting for specific things that our candidates want. And then the lobbyists tack on things to these candidates. They say, okay, you have all these policies, but what if you change this one? Or what if you add this one? No, we didn't want that, but you're now adding that, and we're voting this person still because we like all their other policies, but now they're also doing these things for the lobbyists. These are problems we need to get rid of. It's also one of the reasons you'll never see Congress ban trading. You won't see people ban things in their own self-interest, and you need to do that. You need to have people in the government who don't have their self-interest in mind. They have the self-interest of the American people. They have interest for making it successful for the American people. But you have Nancy Pelosi being a better stock investor than Warren Buffett. How does that happen? It happens because she's insider trading. It happens because it's corrupt. And every time they introduce the Nancy Pelosi bill, which is hilarious that while she's there, they call it the Nancy Pelosi bill, Corrupt Stock Trading Act, it fails every single time. Why? Because people in Congress aren't going to vote to make themselves less money. Why are they not going to do that? Because we have corrupt people in politics. Why do we have corrupt people in politics? Because of lobbying. Why do we allow lobbying? I don't know. That's the root of this whole thing. Can we figure out how to eliminate lobbying, I guess is the question in the United States. Can we figure out where it went wrong and how to eliminate it as a whole? I think lobbying from the start probably was very bad. I don't know the full history behind lobbying, and I'm going to do additional research into it. But lobbying is essentially just people bribing the government. So I can't imagine that there was ever a time that it was good. I could see instances where it's used for good. I could see, people, a politician being ignorant to a subject and a lobbyist saying, oh, if you help this cause, and it is something that actually helps things and it's good for the American people. But I don't see how influencing politicians and influencing government and influencing, what the people voted for and influencing against that, I guess, is beneficial. I don't see how that should be legal. I don't see how the government gets away with it, how they get away with legal bribery, how they get away with doing things that if the American people did, it would never happen. The government gets away with a lot. They get away with not passing audits year after year. The Pentagon still hasn't passed an audit yet. They get away with laundering money. They pretty much laundered half the money that went to Ukraine, stole most of it. They get away with covering up for Jeffrey Epstein. They get away with saying no new wars and then bombing Iran. Why do we allow them to get away with bribery publicly? Why do we allow them to get away with something that's so obviously bad? Like, all these other things I just named are things that the government can lie and spin and push propaganda to hide from you. They could tell you that we got involved with Iran because they were going to bomb the United States and they're a threat. They could push that propaganda all they want, and it's going to work for a lot of people. They can, push the propaganda that the conspiracy that Epstein was a conspiracy, is the whole conspiracy itself. And, again, some people are going to buy that up. You're going to have people like Charlie Kirk who are not even going to question the fact that there's no Epstein client list. But why don't we have more people questioning something so painfully obvious as lobbying? It is just public bribery. It is saying, hey, I know you don't believe this, but let me give you $1,000 to believe in it. Let me give you $1 million behind closed doors to believe in it. Let me gift you a private house or, bump you up on this donor list to believe what I believe in. And that's just bribery. That's just corruption. That's something that we're allowing in our government very blatantly to happen, and that the America Party that Elon Musk is pushing for will not allow to happen. We need to stop lobbying. We need to stop anything that's not in the interest of the American people. Like I've talked about, legal and illegal immigration is no longer in the interest of the American people until we can bring value back to the American dollar. We need to stop asset managers over $100 million from monopolizing the single-family housing market. It's not okay. It's a complete monopoly, and it's destabilizing the housing market for the entire United States. Like I've talked about, if you're a millennial under, you know what I'm talking about. You cannot afford a home. It is very hard to buy a home. You do not get the same life you were promised by your grandparents and your parents. You're not able to build a family and all the things that our parents did and our grandparents did because it is just not expensive. It is just too expensive. It is just not feasible to do that now. These are all problems in America that I want to fix. These are all problems that if we don't fix, we will see the decline of the greatest empire to have existed, the American empire. I don't want that to happen. I want this America Party to actually take things seriously. I hope Elon Musk does take things seriously. I hope they are able to eventually get some update on this Jeffrey Epstein thing. I don't think they ever will. But I hope someone's able to hack and, find that info for us. I never thought I'd be publicly saying that I want someone to hack the FBI on my show, but if someone did it, I think the American people would appreciate it. I don't want you to do it because I don't want you to get arrested for it, but I do want to see it. So, if someone's willing to do it, you're out there. I'm not saying go do it. This is not me saying do it, FBI, but it's me just saying I do want to see it, and we all want to see it. And the fact that we're not going to see it, you're pushing a generation to revolt. You're pushing a generation to wake up to the fact that we've been lied to. And again, we're the first generation to grow up with this mass influx of social media, being able to spread messages around within seconds, unlike other generations. People thought they had that with TV, with radio, but they don't understand the power my generation holds with social media over other generations because we actually understand it and we actually know how to use it. This is the generation that will take over. This is the generation that will move things forward. This is the generation that will end the corruption and that will fix things for America. I know these things because I talk about them every day. I can't see the future, but like in the Matrix, I feel like I see some things in slow motion. I feel like I can understand where we're doing things wrong and where we need to improve them. We're doing a lot of things wrong in politics. We're allowing too many lobbyists. We're allowing too many corrupt people to even enter politics. We are not encouraging the right people to stay in politics. We're encouraging the wrong people to leave politics. We are allowing other countries to influence our decisions and our wars. We're allowing our dollar to be devalued in real time. We're allowing our kids to be trafficked and our parents to have their rights taken away. People are pushing for their own gun rights to be stripped from them. People are arguing for more censorship on social media. They're arguing for people to be deplatformed. These are not American principles. These are not the things that our founders would want for us. They want no foreign affairs, no foreign relations, no foreign parties, and no divide. They don't want us to have political parties. They don't want us to have lobbyists. They don't want us to be deplatforming people, and they don't want us to be taking people's right to free speech away. Just because you disagree with someone, anything short of a threat is free speech, and they should be able to speak their mind freely. This is America. These are American values and American principles we need to restore in this country. We need to stop lobbying, stop insider trading, stop the corrupt government. I'm James Pascalides. This has been America Unfiltered, episode 83. I'm signing off today. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.